everyone, this is Georgia from Tippy.com. Welcome to our weekly podcast focused on everything iPad. From news, how-tos, apps, and accessory reviews, this is iPad Live.
iPad Live is brought to you by the Tippy iPad Accessory Store, your one-stop shop for the latest iPad cases, cables, chargers, headsets, and much, much more. Visit store.tippy.com for all your accessory needs. See you there.
It's Sunday, September 25th, and joining us tonight is the co-host of Iterate TV and CIO of Nickelfish, Seth Clifford.
Hello, Georgia.
Hello, Seth. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I'm shaking off a little cold, so I'm a little out of it, but otherwise good.
Also joining us is my co-host on iPhone Live, Zen and Tech TV, and the managing editor of Tippy.com, Renee Ritchie.
How's it going, Georgia?
It's going well, and with you?
I'm just happy that even though I no longer have an iPad 2, you still allow me to be on your show.
Well, think of it this way, Renee. Your loss was someone else's gain.
Oh, yeah, I'm watching GDGT religiously to see who adds my damn iPad, and then I'm going to use Foursquare, and I'm going to find him.
I thought you were going to say, and I'm going to F them up.
Yeah, well, no, I've been watching old Steven Seagal movies, so I'll know what to do.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. But I remember the hard time you gave Seth when he didn't have an iPad 2, and I can't take that kind of hurt.
Well, you were giving yours away to those that are more needy.
No, mine got jacked. It got stolen. It got ripped off. It got snagged. It got pilchered. It got, I don't know, pilfered. Sorry. Frack, damn it.
Fair enough. Well, the new audio and video stuff is looking fabulous, Renee, so thank you so much for that.
Let's just hope it doesn't crash. I actually downgraded to an earlier version of the software, and we'll see how that holds up. Fingers crossed.
Well, we have a podcast from Superfunctional 12, and it was Common Causes of Dysfunction. I'm interested, Renee.
Well, Jeff went through the 5 most common ways that you can become dysfunctional. You know, things like injury or lack of movement. There's a whole set of them. He explains how they happen. Because quite often, I know you've explained this on Zen and Tech about stress and anxiety, but the physical body is the same way. You just slowly stop doing things. Things get harder, so you stop doing more things. And he's going to start addressing how these things happen, but he wanted to lay a good foundation. So if you haven't yet listened to Superfunctional, do yourself a favor and do it.
I like it.
Yeah.
And we have Tippy Asks, how do you watch TV shows on your iPhone or iPad? So Renee, I'm going to ask you, how do you watch TV shows on your iPhone or iPad? Or do you?
I'm going to set the stage first, because what happened was when we spoke about it on iPhone Live this week, so I'm not going to, go through the whole rigmarole, as Georgia so cutely put it. But basically, Netflix originally raised their prices, kind of, sort of, and now they've split off into 2 companies, Netflix and Quickster, which Georgia said was do not come again. And people are kind of looking for alternatives now. Some people are sticking with Netflix. Some people have had enough. So you put up a Tippy Asks. You wanted to know what the Tippy Nation was doing, whether they were sticking with Netflix, if they were going with Crackle, or with network apps like ABC or HBO Go, or if they were going with their cable company, because some cable companies have apps now. And it kind of reminded me again of what a mess video still is for people who just want to watch. We'll give you money just to watch shows.
Right, and most people went with Slingbox or Sling Player as the ways to go.
But you still need, that the thing with that is it's kind of a cheat to me, because with Slingbox and Sling Player, that's a device that you put on your TV and it takes the cable or whatever signal's coming into your TV and it sends it over the internet. So you still have to have that traditional TV system in place. And I know a lot of people like Mickey Papel on the Cell Phone Junkie, he has it because he puts one in 8 different markets so we can watch 900 foosball games on a weekend. And that's good, but that's not quite the digital leap forward yet. That's kind of the digital half step to the left.
And you, Seth?
I love the Netflix. I don't have any problem with it. I use it almost every single day, and that's how I consume most of my movies and TV. I've been waiting. There's supposed to be a Fios um, DVR app. They have a couple apps in the App Store right now for controlling the DVR and stuff like that. But there's supposed to be like a Watch Anywhere thing for at home on your Wi-Fi network. And I asked about it on Twitter kind of randomly. I got a response from Verizon that said, "Oh, it's in beta. You can join up here." And I tried to do it, and the site that I needed to go to actually get the stuff could only be viewed in Internet Explorer, so I gave up. Yeah. So I'm waiting for that to actually be released because our Fios is great, and we have, tons of bandwidth, so I'm pumped whenever it arrives.
I don't understand, though. How can you have, like, Netflix is a company that just does streaming, and they've gone out and they've licensed programming from Stars. Maybe they'll license programming from... it's just such a random collection of stuff, and there's other people have exclusives. So, like, some movies will come on, they'll go off. TV shows will come on, they'll go off. And then you have the networks. Some networks have, and we just got CTV in Canada. Previously, we had global only. But there's just no clean path to get this content. You've got to figure out all these different, I don't know, it's like a maze drawn up by an insane person who was shooting drugs at the time and wrote it upside down.
Yeah, I think as George says in the chat room, we want to give you our money. We want to have a service that is effective, that carries everything, and we will pay you for it. Just let us.
Yes, please take our money.
Yeah, I would seriously be prepared to spend a couple more bucks a month for a solid television and movie solution that was easy to use and had exactly what I wanted. And it's sad, but there's just not one available.
Like cables, like what? People pay $60 or $100 a month for cable. I mean, where people are obviously willing to pay for programming. It's just like you can either have everything but not where or when you want it, or you can get it where and when you want it, but almost randomly, but nothing. It's like you have no control over what then. It's vexing.
Yeah. It's almost like they secretly must want us to pirate. We're going to make your life so miserable that that's the only way that you're going to get your programming. Or the shows will be like the full seasons and they won't be missing. They'll have 2 season 6s, or 2 episode 5s and one says episode 4 and they don't have the other one. So you can't even go on.
Yeah, like there's shows that kind of came on over the summer that I had been a fan of for years and years. Like one of them is Burn Notice. I really like that show, and I know some people think it's kind of dopey, but it's great. I really enjoy it. I didn't see one single episode this summer because I missed like the first 2, and then we only get the last couple on the DVR, like on the on-demand, and I forgot to record it. So then right now I'm a whole season behind. I can watch like the last 5 episodes of the season if I want, but I can't get the whole season anywhere, like in a simple way right now, and it's just annoying.
I remember when George and I used to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because we didn't get the U.S. channel that it was on, so we had to watch it on some kids network, and they were allowed to put more commercials than an American network, so they would cut the show in odd and awkward ways to insert extra commercials, and they would not have it on some weeks, and it was the most frustrating thing. And George was just saying in the chat room that he can't get Big Bang Theory or How I Met Your Mother in anything like a timely fashion, and it's so silly. We're like in an information age for everything except for the content that would benefit most from being on there.
Well, what really amazes me is that Hollywood is still clinging to this idea of release windows where one thing gets it first and another thing gets it afterward, and they roll it out in these phases, and it's this exclusive kind of trade-off from one distribution mechanism to another. And it does nothing for consumers. It's completely in the interest of the people producing the show and the people distributing the show. But the people that want to see the show that they're actually trying to target just get frustrated with that entire process. So it's astonishing to me that no one has figured out a better way to do this yet, given that we've got music and even like stuff like ebooks are starting to come around. This is just like a black hole of senselessness.
Hey, how about we try this? Provide service and we'll give you money.
Yeah, seriously.
And in a timely fashion.
Yes.
Because there's so many shows out there that I will eventually forget and move on.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, we're all in agreement.
Okay, well let's go on to the epic battle versus Samsung versus Apple. So now, as Samsung wants to have iPhones and 3G iPads banned in the Netherlands. Is this just sour grapes, Renee, over everything that happened in Germany with the Galaxy Tab?
I don't think it's sour grapes. I think it's retaliation. It's like that scene at the end of Batman Begins where Batman meets Commissioner Gordon on top of the building, and he shows him the playing card and flips it over, and it's got a picture of the Joker on it, and he says it's escalation. And I think Samsung originally were like, yeah, we'll just copy Apple. You know, there's nothing really they can do about it. And Apple's like, oh yeah, we'll sue you. And they're like, well, we won't say anything because you give us $7 billion a year for parts, so we'll let it slide. But then like, oh, we're getting banned. We're getting fire back. And now it's on.
Right. Seth, do you think that this is going to cause any actual issue for Apple? Do you think that if they have any, that they're going to be able to stop Apple from selling 3G iPads?
I don't honestly know. I was reading that article a little bit earlier, and I was trying to make sense of that paragraph that started, should it turn out that Apple entered the market without taking licenses to essential patents, that part. And I just don't, it seems very vague. It's like, we're going to do so much to make sure Apple can't do this if they did this thing. So I don't really know, because I don't really know enough of the situation and whether or not Apple did or didn't license the patents that they were supposed to. And frankly, I'm just exasperated with this entire Samsung Apple thing at this point. I can't even follow it.
It's a bit more complicated.
Renee, can you explain what FRAND royalties are?
Yeah, so I was about to say it's a bit more complicated because there's this thing that's called free and reasonable, so freely licensed and on a reasonable term. So what it means is that there's these things called patent pools. And for essential technologies like 3G networking, which is what Samsung is suing them over, because it is essential, these companies get together and they pool their patents. And they are supposed to license them to all other companies under the same reasonable terms. So they're not supposed to refuse the license to anybody, nor charge different amounts for people to license them. And that's why Apple and Nokia had trouble previously, because Nokia didn't just want to license the patents to Apple, they wanted a cross-licensing deal. And Apple said, well, that's not fair because you licensed them to everybody else, so we shouldn't have to cross-license them. And eventually they came to a settlement, which, like Jerry Hildebrand said, is a bunch of rich guys give a little bit of money to a bunch of other rich guys. And now Samsung is suing and saying that Apple doesn't have a license to these patents, but these patents are covered by FRAND, and historically courts have not really been in favor of people suing over licenses that should be granted freely, and even not freely in terms of money, freely in terms of you can't say, yes, you can have them, and no, you can't have them.
So as long as Apple decides to pay whatever was the required amount, which kind of leads me to believe that in order for them to even file this, that Apple hasn't been, they should be fine and they wouldn't be able to stop them from selling them.
Apple probably waits until it has to pay before it pays. I'm sure a lot of companies wait until they're forced to pay something before pay. It's sort of like, if you're short on cash that month, you let the bills pile up a little bit. Well, not that Apple's short on cash, but I mean, no one ever wants to pay earlier than they have to.
That seems wrong to me. Again, I'm not from the corporate world, so.
Yeah, that's how it works, though. I mean, ask anybody who works in accounts receivable.
Right. They need a legal letter. And in this, Verizon has decided to side with Samsung against Apple in a legal dispute. Now, what exactly could Verizon get out of, be upsetting Apple in the first place? Since Verizon's a carrier, it's pretty much neutral as long as they get the most that they can. Though they do have this fabulous Bing search thing for $500 million with Microsoft.
Do you want to take this? You want first stab at Verizon, Seth?
Well, it's going to be the obvious answer, but Verizon loves throwing their name on things, and basically they're going to side with Samsung because Samsung is going to give them, along with Android in general, the opportunity to load up phones with all kinds of crap that you really probably don't want or need, and Verizon colors and Verizon branding and all that stuff. So, at the highest possible level, you could see it just as, well, Samsung's going to be a quote unquote better partner to Verizon in Verizon's eyes. So they may be throwing some support there. And maybe Verizon feels that Android has enough momentum behind it that they can afford to do that, even though they also have the iPhone.
Now, what does it really matter, Renee, if Verizon, backs Samsung or not?
Well, here's the thing. So, it just pisses Apple off. I'm sure Apple's not happy about it. And the iPhone is the best-selling phone on Verizon, but it's the phone that Verizon has the least control over, just like Seth said. Apple does not let them switch in Bing as a default search engine, does not let them spray paint logos all over the phone, does not let them install crapware or lock down different services. But more than that, I remember, I forget if it was last year or earlier, Google had this unimpeachable position on net neutrality. It was like the Catholic Church in death. You could not violate net neutrality. And then Verizon's like, hey, this whole droid thing, we own you. So you're going to change your mind. And Google's like, okay, we're in favor of net neutrality, except where Verizon says we're not. And I don't want to say there's a quid pro quo going on here, but it's kind of like, Google bent over for Verizon on net neutrality, so now Verizon is siding with them on the patent lawsuit, and it's just so convenient.
And Verizon does have a 5-year contract starting in 2009 to put the Bing search engine on certain phones as they so see fit.
Yeah, just to make Phil Nicholson angry and force the Android people to learn how to root to put Google back on there. It's just,
So that might be another reason, if someone was paying me oodles and oodles of money, I might, say, listen, I'm going to, you scratch my back, I'm going to scratch yours.
Like I said, it's awfully convenient, and I'm sure that Google is way more, what's the way to put this? Google is a much better partner. Whether they're a more successful partner or not, you can debate, but they're a much better partner from Verizon's point of view, because Apple, and we've mentioned this before, Apple totally disintermediated carriers with the iPhone and the iPad. Basically, you get the device from Apple and you put it on your network, or you don't. Where Android, you get the tablet or you get the phone and you can do pretty much anything you want because it's open. It's not. It's open-y. It's open mostly to carriers and manufacturers, and they can do what they want with it. So that gave a powerful operating system back into the hands of the carriers, and I'm sure that is a much better deal than. Okay, Lloyd is saying LTE in the chat room, and that's fair. So Verizon's actual complaint said that it would harm their rollout of LTE because Apple is probably not giving them any LTE devices until 2012 in the earliest, and Android is providing a lot of LTE tablets. We can joke that the Zoom is waiting on its LTE upgrade forever, but they are pushing out LTE devices, and Verizon needs to sell LTE devices for their LTE network. And if those devices are banned or shut down, then they're not going to have anything to sell to support those networks.
But really, they don't care about, I would say counterpoint that they don't make money on selling phones. Verizon doesn't make cash on that. They make cash on all the services that we pay for. So whether or not you use a phone for LTE or not, as long as you're, taking on a nice, hefty, thick plan, they're just fine with that.
Yeah, but they can charge a lot for those LTE plans, and people are going to want those LTE plans, and it's a very competitive market with everyone claiming to have 4G. So those LTE plans, Verizon really wants people on those.
Because they'll be more expensive.
More expensive, and that's the hot new thing. Who doesn't want to sell this year's car?
Okay. Well, again, if the plans don't cost any difference and they still make more people, if there is no difference between the LTE plans and the other plans, I would assume that it has more to do with oodles of money being thrown at them for being able to brand, put other programs in, and sell other services. But,
Well, at the end of the day, also LTE lets you consume more data. The more data you consume, the more data you have to buy.
Right.
And you could say maybe you're going to be careful, but still, those are honking fast phones.
Right. No, I'll go with that. And Samsung has been caught with a concession store using Apple's icons on its display wall. Tsk, tsk, tsk. That's it. Just tisk.
Yeah, if you want to laugh, go look at the picture. It's kind of ridiculous.
And like this is just funny,
it's poorly
right?
done. That's my only thing was the actual failure of how horrific it actually looks. More than anything else.
Well, I mean, it's just it's the thing is this, it's like it's a rinky-dinky store, and Italy is not a major market. I mean, yes, Italy is not a major market. This was something probably done in error, but it's funny, and I'm sure maybe Apple's lawyers will enjoy bringing it up in court. Maybe they don't even care about it, but it's humorous for the interwebs.
And odds are it was just one guy who decided to put up the icons and found icons that he could get in high enough res. And there just happened to be a whole bunch of...
Luigi, put up this icon.
ones.
It's a nice icon. No, it's not an Android icon. No, I said to put it up. Put it up, Luigi.
Wow.
Yeah, just... Mario and Luigi.
Mamma mia.
Yeah, do you really... Seth, you don't really think that this is going to come up in any type of... It's not really anything more than a little bit embarrassing, though, for Samsung. Is it? Am I missing something with it?
I think the most that would probably happen might be like a cease and desist, like take the icons down. Okay, that's it. And I don't think they're really going to even waste any more money probably bothering with it because it's really not that big of a deal. It's just kind of more laughable than anything else. But given that Apple is really prone to protecting their brand, they're probably likely to at least send a letter. But I can't see it going much further.
But Seth, they will not give me Chrome on Android. I cannot put up a Chrome logo on Android. I got to use something. You give me something.
Yeah, I guess you could argue that.
The App Store icon, much better than a market icon. Everybody know it.
And Apple may not be very giving with their icons, but they are very giving with their iPad loan device program, which they are testing out in their flagship San Francisco Apple Store, which will allow people to borrow the device for up to 7 days, take it home, test it out, and make sure that they completely understand it before they bring it back.
What, they're not loaning it to me? They're loaning it to Apple people?
They're loaning it to Apple people, but isn't that sweet?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I guess.
And smart marketing, if nothing else.
But they're Apple people. They already get to use it all day. Lend it to me. I need one.
Well, it's nice, though, for people to use it, so there's more chance that, you'll go up and pick one up because people will know what they're doing with it.
If they're smart, they'd loan it out to people in AT&T and Verizon stores so that they'd, Apple gave me this freebie iPad to try out, man. You should really try it. It's awesome. And, stop recommending other people's phones and tablets on their network.
Well, maybe they will. If it works out really well and they notice that employees understand how to use the iPad more, maybe they'll end up broadening the program.
I'd be like, you're an Apple Store employee, you don't have an iPad already? You're fired. I mean, look at the hell Seth got into for not having an iPad on this show. Can you imagine if Tim Cook finds out one of his employees doesn't have one?
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't imagine. But it's probably not a terrible idea because I guess if somebody doesn't have an iPad and they're supposed to be selling them to people in the Apple Store and they don't have one for whatever reason, maybe they're just financially not ready to make that jump. If they take it home and they have time to play with it and, sit on their couch and use it the way a regular person would, chances are they're going to download apps and do stuff that they probably wouldn't do standing in the store with people around them for, the 2 seconds they might play with it. So I guess if you really want everybody, regardless of what, the product that they actually have at home to, be immersed in that ecosystem and know exactly what they're talking about and be excited to make recommendations, it's a great idea, right?
Do you think that it would be smarter just to give the iPad 2s that a really strong discount to everyone that works there so that everyone has one of their own?
They do have an Apple employees get a discount, but
it's lame, isn't it?
I don't remember what it is for an iPad, to be honest with you. Maybe
Leanna would know. Her brother used to work for Apple, right?
We'll ask.
Okay,
we need an on-demand Leanna.
Chat. Yes, exactly. Who works for the Apple Store? Let us know. How much do they give you off?
Leanna's like,
Because if it's like 15%, it's still a hefty price.
she's supposed to be my call a friend tonight on the game show, and she's not there.
My call a friend was Steve Jobs, but he didn't answer.
No. Well, he probably would answer and then, call you a bozo and hang up, send from his iPhone.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd have a whole bunch of posts all about that.
Yeah. Awesome.
And Amazon is holding a press conference on September 28th to announce its iPad competitor. Seth, are you excited?
Yeah, I kind of am. I'm curious to see this thing. I love Amazon, as I've proclaimed loudly in past shows, and I think they're coming at this from the right angle. They're approaching it not from a hardware play so much, but from a content play. And I know, Renee, you're going to say, yeah, in the US, but everywhere else. I know, we're getting to that. But for this launch, for the US launch, they're in a position to do a good job because they have a lot of stuff tied together. And if they can get their Prime, on streaming video library bumped up, it'll be even more compelling.
And it's in New York.
So it's going to be a souped-up Kindle?
Rumor is it's going to be more like a 7-inch, not so much a Kindle, but it's going to be like an Android tablet running a very, 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 very customized build of Android so that you won't even really think about it as Android. And they've got all those hooks in place already. They've got, the cloud music, the storage, the Amazon App Store. They've got all this stuff just ready to go. So I'm very interested to see what comes out.
I wonder if there's a Barnes & Noble's executive shaking his tiny little Vader fists in Jeff Bezos' direction saying, no, we did that. What are you, Samsung? How dare you? We forked Android first, you bastards.
Yeah, but they don't have the massive everything else aside from books that Amazon has. I mean, Amazon is a media juggernaut at this point, and they just keep rolling and assimilating other things. So, I mean, there's been rumors that Amazon was going to buy Netflix, to beef up their library. And if that were to happen, that would instantly blow the doors off of the streaming that's available on Amazon Prime right now.
Maybe they'll buy Quickster now that it's been spun off.
Yeah. I'm sure they're very interested in that.
Nice. But they'll do what they always do. They'll plaster this thing for $250 on the front page of Amazon, or $225 if you get the ad-supported version, and it'll just hook right into Amazon's massive content farm. You'll be able to buy all your books and stuff. But here's the thing that always intrigues me with Amazon is, and it's the same thing that happens with Apple and Google. For example, on an iPad, you can use all the Google stuff. On an Android tablet, you get almost nothing of Apple. I mean, you can still buy Apple's music because it's DRM free, but good luck doing anything else. Amazon puts tons of their stuff on an iPad, and again, you're not going to get any Apple stuff. So Apple keeps benefiting from all these people wanting to be on their platform, but they do nothing to help support anyone else's platform, ever.
Well, Amazon's done... Go ahead, Georgia.
Well, it's just not where their product line is, and it works for them, so... That's it.
Amazon has surprised everybody with their hardware prowess, though. Everybody kind of thought the Kindle was going to be a little bit of a flash in the pan and then kind of just fall away. And that thing has really taken off. And they've had, multiple versions of it come out. So they definitely have a reputation for doing what most people, we might not think of it this way, but what most people would consider quality hardware, because it is very simple. It does the thing that they need it to do, and it's relatively inexpensive.
It's sufficient hardware. I don't think anyone could accuse it of being quality.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. It's built for efficiency, and obviously to reach that price point, it doesn't have the level of polish that we'd probably like to see. So that's fair.
It's like an early Hyundai or a Yugo or a Le Car. It will drive you from point A to point B cheaply without being fussy about it.
There's a whole bunch of people that don't really care, though, about the quality of what they have, as long as it really uses it. They want to use the Kindle just for reading books, and it does that.
Yeah.
They're happy with that.
But people in the chat room think that maybe I'm being mean, but that's a huge niche that Apple's not filling. It's like people sold billions of netbooks, and Apple didn't want to enter that space, but people still sold tons of them. Amazon is filling a niche that Apple is not going to be willing to fill, at least so far that we've seen, and it's a very valid product category. For some people, cheaper equals better, and for a lot of people, getting tons of Amazon content on a cheap tablet is going to be exactly what they want.
Yep.
Yeah, and as long as, again, it makes down to the price point. Many people can't afford Apple products. They're just expensive. So, they get something that'll work, and Amazon will definitely support it. It's a name that people trust. They can get all of their books. They can also get the cloud and music. So it might be the perfect competitor to Apple's high-priced iPad.
We'll have to wait and see. Amazon hasn't released any sales numbers that I'm aware of for the Kindle. It sells well, obviously, because it's on Amazon's homepage and it's their number one product a lot, but they haven't said how well is well yet, and we'll have to figure that out still.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to know that at this point.
So does this increase the chances that we'll get a low-priced iPad?
That's it's that age-old dilemma, because Apple does not compete on the low end in computers. There's no low-end MacBook. Right now, the cheapest one is a $999 baseline 11-inch MacBook Air, but they do have an iPod Shuffle and an iPod Nano, so they did compete in the lower end, although still with really good production quality in music players. So which way are they going to go? So far, there's one iPad, and while it is much lower priced than we're used to from Apple, it is still a high-margin premium aluminium product. So we spoke before, though. Maybe when the iPad 3 comes out, the iPad 2 loses $100 and becomes a lower end iPad.
But even that price, lower end, it's still pretty expensive. There's no carriers that are going to be coughing up the bill for it. Who knows?
Yeah, so far.
Maybe. Get a plan for your 3G, just not in the Netherlands. Though, what we can pick up, which is pretty sweet and cool, is electronic vending machines are now in the Macy's department store selling iPads and other kind of Apple tech, which is so cool. I don't know how it drops without breaking it, but I guess.
Can you explain to me how Allie worked underwear into the title for this?
She's brilliant. That's why. She's smart.
Macy's sells a lot of stuff, but she picked underwear.
Yeah, maybe we should change it to lingerie.
See, that's the thing. It's so funny because Seth is a man, and he'll understand this, George, and you'll have no concept of this. But a man walks into a store, he sees what looks like a plastic container with black cloth inside. He has no idea what it really is. It just says like 3 to 5 pairs of underwear on it. You pick up that bag and you walk out, and you never think twice about it. That's how men shop for these things. And I'm not sure an iPad makes sense in that content. But maybe, where women's clothes cost $100 for far less material, the iPad is a good homily.
Well, I think that, again, I'm not sure that a vending machine is the best place to purchase an iPad, just because one of the expense, too, it has to drop down at some point. I don't know how it leaves. But it's just, you don't have the person to talk about how to set it up, to get it ready, what do you have to do with it. And I think that, buying, say, people always ask me where would be the best place to buy any Apple device. And I say really an Apple store, because you can ask the questions and the people are knowledgeable there. But I guess if you've had, you need an iPad quick and easy and fast, it's been stolen, you might want to buy it through a vending machine.
I could see this being a big hit at the holidays when people are already in Macy's and they're like, you know what? The Apple Store is absolutely swarming with people. I know my kid wants an iPod Touch. I'll just get it while I'm here.
I have tried to buy things like chocolate bars from vending machines, and I put my money in. I hear the little thing unravels, and the chocolate bar falls like halfway out and then gets stuck there, and I get angry, and that's like $1, and I start hitting the machine and shaking it, and give me my chocolate, give me God, and I start cursing and I start kicking it, and maybe the machine falls forward on me and gets some revenge. Can you imagine if you just spent you put $700 worth of quarters in that sumbitch, and you press the button for iPad, and the thing untwirls and it falls like halfway out, and there's whiny parents who want to buy their kids an iPad behind you saying, hurry up already, because I'm assuming all Macy's are in New York. Hurry up, what's the matter, you know how to use a machine? And you're just $700 in quarters. It took me 2 days to feed this thing.
Well,
Well, my damn iPad.
Michelle from the chat room said that way someone might be able to get 2 iPads for the price of $700.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
And then the stupid cop comes over, hits it, thing falls down, he takes your iPad and walks off. It's just not going to go well.
I'm willing to bet the machine probably doesn't function the way a standard snack machine does. I'm going to go out on a limb.
So you buy your iPad, you get your 5-day-old sandwich, and the sandwich falls out, but not the. I mean, it's just this thing is my death waiting for me.
You're like, hey, it's the Nano's kind of like hanging on a string. If I buy that iPad, it'll hit the Nano when it's coming down, and I'll get both of them.
And you know, if people think they're the Fonz and they just walk by hitting it every day just to see if an iPad will fall out. So it's not in good condition to begin with.
It's a lot of quarters.
$700 in quarters, man. It would take me 2 days.
Can we talk about the huge ass table?
I don't think this is a table. I think this is like a case or a display or something.
It's a display touchscreen, but flip it on its side and it's a table.
Nice. And it's huge?
It's immense. It's absolutely like, I saw this and I freaked out.
They're calling it
It's
Padzilla, which makes me think that they intend for Japanese people to flee in terror at its mere sight. Which is kind of racist. I don't understand why they called it that.
Yeah, it's costly, 30 to 40K, but yeah, so
40K.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge, and it's touchscreen, and you can hang it on the wall, or you can use it as an interactive coffee table, which would be so the way that I would go with this.
You want Angry Birds on your coffee? It reminds me of that old joke when they made that Surface commercial, the big-ass table, and they're like, yeah, I brought guests home, and they sat down, and my table blue screen. God damn it, Bill Gates ruined my table. My table's rebooting now. So you sit down there, you put your coffee mug down, suddenly Georgia presses a button, and you hear, and suddenly Angry Birds are flinging themselves over at your coffee. The thing blows up in front of you.
Right. So, yeah, all you need to have is... You position it in, and you can do whatever you would do on your iPad on this huge, massive screen. And yeah, sometimes bigger is better.
What is the
Seth, can you see yourself using this?
Yeah, I guess if I had a bunch of money that I didn't need to pay my mortgage or anything, yeah. How does the stuff scale up? I mean, is it like it's a giant 1024 by 768 display, so the pixels are like the size of a credit card?
I think it's like a isn't it like for
it's
me?
It's like a TV screen, but it's a touch screen.
So you can assume it's HD.
Yeah. I'm guessing it'd be 1080p because I can't imagine anyone makes panels that size that aren't 1080p. I mean, they're probably buying a TV screen and putting some touch tech on it. Yeah,
I'd like to have that just to play with it.
I'd like to get that and then play the movie Minority Report and make people think that I'm actually controlling what Tom Cruise is doing. That'd be cool.
I could just see you whipping your hands around, and then everybody's kind of like, "That's cool, Renee," and they turn away, and you're like looking over your shoulder, like, "Guys, you look what I'm doing. It's awesome."
They're breaking open another beer and ignoring me.
Yeah, and it's 150 inches diagonal. It's massive.
How do you get that? They must take the wall off your house to get that in there.
I mean, realistically, this is great for what, trade shows and stuff. Like, that's who's going to really be using this, would be people who are really, they have a lot of money to do some marketing, and they bring it and put it on the floor of their booth, and people go bananas, right?
Yeah. If I have to say, if it cut down to like 10K, I would be thinking about this.
You'd be thinking about it, really.
Yeah. Completely. I can't even say, yeah, no, for sure. I would have it. I would have it be a table screen, and I would be completely there.
So you've got college tuition all socked away already.
I live in Canada. Socialized education.
Oh, you got me there.
Sorry. Yes, I have money to waste on a massive interactive table.
Well, just give it about 6 to 9 months, it'll probably drop, right?
If it drops to there, seriously, Seth, you might be coming over, and that's what I'll be having. And I'll be playing like Pac-Man and Angry Birds and everything else on there, just like, those old tabletop arcade devices.
Yeah, we'll fly
Pictures, TV. It would be amazing.
It would be pretty cool, I gotta say. I would definitely enjoy that.
Let's see if I can bring it up. Hang on.
What am I hearing?
Let's see if I can bring it up.
Take a look. It's the commercial for it.
Thing is ginormous. That's like an iPad for Shaquille O'Neal. I knew it! Well,
I think my favorite part is the black and white infomercial beginning. Like, iPads are so hard to use if they're not 70 to 150 inches.
I know, right? I mean, Steve Jobs must be kicking himself now.
There's got to be a better way.
Peter Coyote is like, I can't say this BS anymore. This thing sucks. It needs to be at least 120 inches.
Yeah, bigger is better, though. I would be there. And I love the fact that one of the taglines is even cooler than a giant green Japanese lizard or something.
Well, you're the only one here with a purse big enough to fit it, Georgia, so I guess your vote counts.
Yeah, I'd do it. Heartbeat if I could afford.
Nice. You'd probably do it even if you couldn't afford it.
Well, I'd have to take a look at it.
Why don't we have groceries at home? Because we have this awesome Padzilla. Do you have to have explained again?
Mommy, what happened to my brother?
We'll just look at the groceries on the Padzilla. Renee, you must be happy. Marvel is starting to offer trade paperback style collections for the iPad.
About fracking time. I mean, I'm so angry with this comic book industry. They make the book industry look positively avant-garde by comparison. I remember about a year ago when the Marvel app first came out, I looked on it in horror because I could get 24 of the 25 issues of Joss Whedon's astonishing X-Men run. And I don't know.
It was the middle one that was missing, right?
No, it was the last one. It was a conclusion. I don't know which, if it was Magneto or Doctor Doom. I don't know who did that, but man, was I angry. And now, because before, it's not great. So previously you could buy, like, if anyone let me go back a minute. Anyone buying comics knows that you can buy the issues every month. And for the good storylines, after a few months, they'll put out, either a hardcover or a soft cover that collects together 6 or 10 issues, whatever the storyline is. And then if it's really popular, they might put out like a complete edition or maybe even an omnibus that could have like 40 or 50 issues in. And you can put that sucker on your bookshelf if it's reinforced. And it's something that you can read years later and still get the whole story. But you were forced to buy single issues in the digital version. And also the trades are usually cheaper. And these are going to be cheaper by like $1. So you can get like, $1 off if you buy them. So it's a tiny little step of progress, but it's not nearly all the way there yet.
I'd be in for this though. I wanted trades on iPad for a while.
Me too. I hope DC does it. I want the
and I hope they're thorough and make it easy for people to get them.
I want like the absolute editions on the I want the iPad to be a first class platform. I have the absolute Sandmans, I have the absolute Dark Knight and Watchmen, I have some of the omnibuses from Marvel like Miller's Daredevil run and stuff, and I want those on the iPad. I want these collection because they're huge. They take up a ton of shelves and they're heavy, and I would much rather have those digital than just an issue of a comic that you can read and dispose of if you want to. Put your Masterworks people together and sort this out. It's not that complicated. Ask the movie people.
I like Brad's idea that says that you should be able to get free comics if you can scan the original barcode. Pay for them in paperback. You can get them on both.
See, they'll think we're thieves.
Smart.
Like, Seth let you scan that barcode, didn't he? And now you're letting Georgia scan it.
It could even be like, up to 3 scans per, anyone can scan it. You get to do it 3 times, and
that sounds
that's it.
That sounds logical and sensible.
Each barcode is unique, and we saw that you scanned it twice. Prepare for intestination.
Intestination. That sounds painful.
Yeah. Ask the sci-fi people. Sorry, it makes me angry that we're so... I mean, iTunes figured this out for music. Someone... Just do it. Get it done. We want to give you... It goes back to the beginning of the show. We want to give you our money.
We can, but... Again, it's. I think any time that a new technology comes out, everyone that's already been, making a lot of money in the old system have a really hard time adapting.
There's this new thing, Joe Quesada. It's called digital. Digital, really? Does Stan Lee know about digital? Yes, digital. Digital. What about digital? Guys, it happened 10 years ago. Digital? Really? Where were we? You were resurrecting Electra for the 19th time. Oh! Chris
Aldroyd has the top 5 best alternative podcast apps for the iPhone and the iPad. Renee, what are they and which ones do you use?
I like all good-hearted co-hosts of this podcast use Instacast, but I must admit that while that was on the list, Chris got his butt kicked on our behalf for not mentioning some other podcasts. Are you still on Instacaster, Seth?
Yeah, I'm still using it. Yeah.
Let me look up what that other app was. I think it was Downcast, right? Did you? I'm gonna have to give that a look because our commenters were like insanely angry we didn't mention it.
Yeah, a lot of people like that app.
Have you ever used it, Seth?
The other one that's not here is Pocket Casts, which is that Shifty Jelly one.
I like Pocket Cast quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a nice one too.
And not at all because he made Iterate one of the podcasts of the month.
No, certainly not.
Ooh, yeah. That's very cool.
Not Zen and Tech yet, Georgia, though, so you can make him feel bad about that.
I'll tweet him about that one.
Nice. But yeah, so here's the thing. You can, in the original iPhone and iPad days, you could download podcasts, sync them over, and that's how you got your content. Then you could start downloading them right on the device with the iTunes Store app or stream them. But the stream usually is okay, but sometimes if you leave it forget where you were, and you had to have a good 3G plan to do it. So these podcast catcher apps are like filling a void, trying to make it easier to manage. And on the iTunes app, you can't subscribe, so you have no way of knowing. You have to go hunt for every new episode. And they're all doing the job, more or less, but none of them are, and Seth, tell me if I'm wrong, none of them are really doing it in that Apple-esque way yet. Like, I love Instacast, but the interface annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah. That's been my problem too, is that I've tried a whole bunch of these and I've settled on Instacast, but that's what it has been. It's been settling and saying, this does all the things I want, and it's nice, but it's not exactly what I want. And it's close. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a nice looking app, and it's really solidly built. And the thing that keeps me using it is it has Dropbox export and re-import. So if I have to restore my phone, I can get the podcast back quickly without having to go and manually add one after another after another. And some other ones have OPML imports, which helps, but this is like brainlessly easy. But you're right. I mean, the touch targets are just a little too small.
I can't scrub. I'm scrubless.
Yeah, there's certain little things that drive me crazy, and I feel like they're so close. They're like 86 to 92% of the way there, and they just have to tweak it a little bit to make it perfect, but it hasn't really gotten there yet.
Just do like Google Reader. Let me have an online subscription, so like Seth says, if I ever have to restore a device, I just put in my credentials, and bang, all my podcasts are back. Use Apple's controls. Apple built them for you for a reason. And if you run it, like some people are mentioning some other podcasts, I'm not going to call them out by name, but if people have to write to us asking, why they can't get iPhone Live or iPad Live on the app, you're doing the app wrong. I mean, your service, and I'm not saying that to be arrogant, but iPhone Live and iPad Live, these are popular shows. They're routinely and really well ranked in iTunes. They are in the top, so many podcasts. And the people are making iPhone apps, and the iPhone podcasts aren't easy to find. That's just silly. So make it easy for people to put in their own RSSs or to have a subscription thing, or just load the thing up so people can find what they want. I don't know why this is a problem still.
Yeah, podcasts are not new. Like this should have been figured out a long time ago.
Yeah.
However, I will say this: there was a time when there were no other ways to get podcasts on your iPhone, and the only thing you could do was jailbreak and use the then jailbreak only podcaster.
Yeah.
And so we've come a really long way since then. So we have an embarrassment of riches compared to that.
I don't want to get all Syracuse about it, but I feel like it's worth it's good enough that it's worth complaining about now.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
George got hopefully quiet. When iCloud comes out, maybe Apple will take a little bit more notice of podcasts.
Did we just bore the tar out of you, Georgia? You stayed awake. I appreciate that.
Well, for a little bit of excitement, we do have giveaways and contests. So head on by to www.tippy.com/contests. And what are we giving away right now?
We're actually, I'm not saying this to be coy, but we were giving away so much stuff that Leanne and I had to try and figure out all the winners. We announce winners every Saturday. And we were like, wait a minute, we also did this. Oh, Allie also gave away this. Oh, Leanna was giving away this. It is just tons of stuff. Let me bring up this week's list. And you find it by going to tippy.com/contest. So it's one-stop shop. Just go and enter them all. And this week so far, because we have some big ones coming up, we just gave away a Casemate Chrome, Stadio Inno case, iPhone training videos, Umail subscriptions. Georgia's new contest is the Gola bags. You can win, I think, 3 Gola bags, Georgia?
Yeah, and they're really cute. Gola bags they have a lot of different, they're just nice looking. So
you called them the case that Sarah Connors would use.
I did.
You actually photoshopped long an awesome picture.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Sarah Connor had an iOS device, she would put it in a Gola bag, right? That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
We're also giving away the Cleveland Show Dance-Off, iMovie for iPhone and iPad, Cost to Drive, Bop It for the... and she's got a really good one coming up because we've started a new photography forum, photographs and videos. If you want to get better at shooting pictures with your iPhone or iPad, you want to do projects related to them, there's a whole forum for that now, and she's going to be giving away a ton of really cool movie and photo stuff and accessories. I think this week's going to be an accessory for your iPhone or iPad.
And yeah, in the people that didn't, if you didn't play, that's why you didn't win. And the Casemate Chrome, the Studio Phone, there's some really, really sweet prizes out there. So you can't complain. Just go out there and play.
Yeah, you can't win if you don't enter. Only on Tippy. Only on Tippy.
Allie has a nice jailbreak application for those that use Safari a lot, and it is the back forward list. Seth, is this something that you would find useful for the iPhone?
iPad.
I was thinking about this, not particularly,
iPad,
not particularly, because I find that the way I use the browser on those devices is to quickly query something. So I don't really do a lot of extensive browsing on them. I might go, open a couple tabs for a couple minutes, but I don't really do heavy web browsing. It's always like, what is that thing? Fill in the blank, search, and I'm done and I'm out. So it's a really cool tweak, and I was looking at it before and thinking, yeah, it would be pretty useful, but me personally, I don't really use the mobile browsers that way.
Renee?
Yeah, I'm with Seth. I mean, it's one of those things, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's a whole bunch of apps that I find are amazing, awesome, almost like candy, and yet I have no practical use for them. And I wish I did because they're really cool. I just, the way that I browse on an iPad just doesn't really need this.
No, when I have, you know what, I might, it's not something that I've actually thought to myself, I really need this on there, but I don't know. If I was broken, I would take a peek at it.
Yeah, you still haven't jailbroken your. I mean, you are such the staunch iPhone jailbreak queen, and yet you've kept that iPad virgin as a newborn snow.
There hasn't been a compelling reason yet for me to jailbreak my iPad, as I see it. In the manner in which I use it, it's pretty stock.
If it would let her cheat at tower defense, she would jailbreak it in a second. But since it doesn't do that,
No, that would ruin the fun of playing tower defense games. It would be I don't know. I like AirPlay, so if it added a lot of AirPlay functionality, something were smoother, faster,
well, it did,
that kind
and
of
Apple
thing,
did it themselves. So there was no
yeah,
I used
exactly,
to jailbreak for
and
that.
so that's the manner in which I use it. So I don't know. Not really sure.
If you let me play Angry Zombies, if I could do mashups of games, this game is half Angry Birds, half Plants vs Zombies, only on jailbreak, then yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah, if you could make my iPad games that play on the iPhone games that play on the iPad proper res or something, I'd be
They can. There is,
be.
but it's I forget what it's called.
It would have to be worthwhile, just because I hate grabbing my iPad and the battery's gone, or if it's already buggy. It's frustrating to me. Like when I want to use my iPad, I want it to be stable.
Is it Forceful? Is that the name of the tweak, Seth? Do you remember?
I think it's called. There's one called Full Force.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, and then the one I used to use is Retina Pad.
Yeah. Retina means eye.
And how good is it, Seth?
Oh, I loved it. It's great. I mean, your buttons are gigantic, but everything is super crisp.
Your buttons are gigantic, but everything is super crisp. We have a show title, folks.
It's good. It's a good tweak. Ryan Petrich, good one.
Nice.
Maybe we'll have Seth write that up for us.
Oh. Every time he does a show, he gets work to do.
Yeah, seriously.
If I didn't like your work, I wouldn't.
Oh yeah. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Aw, man. Okay. Anyways, I would like to say thank you so much, Seth Clifford, for joining us again, especially when you're not feeling great.
Yeah, thank you, George. I'll get right on that work for you.
How can we find you, Seth?
You can find me on Twitter at Seth Clifford. You can find me on the Tippy Shows and on Iterate with Renee and Mark Edwards of Bajango. And if you'd like to check out our sites and apps and all the stuff we do, visit our website at nfidm.com. We're Nickelfish.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Damn it.
And the next voice, Renee.
Yes, Georgia.
Thank you so much for joining us and doing all of the super slick editing. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's always a thrill to be on with you and Seth.
Thanks. How can we find you, Renee?
You can find me at tippy.com. You can find me at Renee Ritchie on Twitter. And you can find me on the Zen and Tech.tvs.
Which we're going to be having right up in a second.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm Georgia. You can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaTIPB and also on the podcasts, plus www.tipb.com. And you can reach all of us at Tippy via email at podcast@tippy.com. Leave a comment when the show goes live, please. We're here every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. British Summer Time, and our companion show, iPhone Live. Renee?
It is same bat time, same bat channel on Wednesday nights.
www.tippy.com/live for all our podcasts, including iPhone Live, iPad Live, Zen and Tech Super Functional. Seth, when's Iterate?
We will be doing another show tomorrow because we're a couple behind, so we're going to double up for a few weeks. So we will be recording tomorrow. You should have a new one shortly thereafter.
With whom, Seth?
Is it David Barnard tomorrow?
Yes, sir, from AppCubby, and he is all shades of awesome.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Awesome. Android Central, crackberry.com, mobilenations.com/shows. If you haven't already, subscribe to us on iTunes and leave a rating. It helps people find the show and, makes us heart you. So, please do that. Thanks to the Tippy iPad Accessory Store for sponsoring the podcast and to everyone who showed up live for the chat. You guys mean the world to us.
Less than 3.
Indeed.